Hello, everybody. It is James here at Ask Dutch Anything 44. You saw at the end of our last show that Dutch's mustache was hanging down to the floor, and now it is buoyant. How else would you describe it?
Oh, it's flourishing.
Flourishing.
That's what it is.
Bloom.
That's it.
A veritable thicket.
Hey, I need to get into a mustache contest. See where they would rank me. Hey, some of those mustache guys, I mean, it is really profound. Some of them have them going out here, and some of them have them, braided up. But this has got to get me in the top 3 anyway, don't you think?
Yeah, just iconic. And, I mean, at least you can enter like an amateur mustache competition and then go to the pros when you feel comfortable.
Maybe I need to go to the NXT.
A training school.
Yes, an NXT of mustache companies. Maybe that.
I think that's an excellent idea. While we ruminate on your mustache, I'm even going to keep the camera on you just while you're twiddling away with it. And the camera will follow you, let me tell you that for nothing. So, we're on Facebook, Storytime with Dutch Mantell. Of course, books and diplomas I've got to, Dutch has got to. If you want them unsigned, you go to Amazon. The links are in the description. If you want stuff signed from Dutch, including his books and diplomas and other stuff as well, you email him at dirtydutchmantell with 2 L's at gmail.com. We are on Pro Wrestling Tees, including this t-shirt right here, this fancy Dirty Dutch Mantell t-shirt, which
I like that.
I love this t-shirt.
I love that one.
I love it. I went for the sandy coloured one instead of the blue one as well, so I like the sandy coloured one. And you can get that from Pro Wrestling Tees. But the most important thing you need to remember is questions for Dutch at gmail.com. If you have a question for the Dirty Dutchman himself, please use that email, submit it, and the best ones will make it into the script every week, and dozens of you do it every single week. I've picked the best ones, or in my opinion, the best ones, and here is the first. It says, hello, Dutch and James. This is from Francisco. He says, any good stories about teaming around the West Indies with Danny Condrey? Thanks.
Danny Condrey. He was, I forgot what his name down there was. I forgot. Dennis Condrey. It was supposed to be Dennis Condrey, and I ended up, because Dennis canceled. Yeah, I remember now. And I had Wayne Ferris, the honky tonk man, who went with me. And we used to wrestle like every 2 weeks in the West Indies. And I remember as a kid, they talk about the West Indies and the trade from the West Indies and this, that, and the other. I never knew where the West Indies was. I know where it is now. It's around Trinidad and Tobago. And I didn't know this, but it's about 10 miles. It's 2 islands. It's 10 or 15 miles off the coast of Venezuela, which is South America. So they had never seen wrestling before. So we took in the local tape from Puerto Rico. And I've talked about this before, but the fans were very dangerous. I mean, you could put up any kind of a border. That didn't mean nothing. It was almost like saying, come on ahead. Before the match was over, the people could actually, they would come up to the edge of the ring, and they could reach in and actually touch you. That's how close they were. So you can forget trying to fight through that crowd, more or less. You better wait till your police officers get there and then walk you down, because these guys, these people they would just be as close to you as your opponent. They would just collapse in on you. And I have never been so hot in my life as I was in Trinidad. That is one hot place.
Is this temperature-wise or?
No, yes. And temperature-wise too, because it's not far from the equator. And that sun, I mean, when it came down, it would burn you up. You'd have to be very, very careful in the sun there, because you could get dehydrated and you'd have to go to the hospital. So, but the people there, they have a festival every year, like like New Orleans has every year. What's that called?
Mardi Gras.
They have a Mardi Gras there. Same thing. And it's just a party time. People very friendly, and they speak with a lilt. They say, "Oh, Dutch Mantell. Oh, we love you, Dutch." And except when we hate you, we want to kill you. But I didn't want to hear that stuff. But anyway, I actually made a lot of money down there. See, when you would get paid in what they call TT money, Trinidad and Tobago money, and it's like, like play currency. So if you say you made 2,000 TT dollars, it's still dollars, but it was TT dollars. If you took it back to Puerto Rico, you'd have to exchange it at the money exchange. But you may get the true value of it. But before you leave, say it'd be worth $1,000 in U.S. money. But if you tried to cash it in there, like with the cab drivers and all this, because they do it all the time, you'd only get like $300 for it. They would rip you off. So I would always go down, and you know how I kept from exchanging my money so I could get the rate of that day? I would go to the American and Delta airline office.
Yes, yeah.
And I would lay the money down. I said, "What can this ticket get me a ticket from here, from San Juan to California and back?" And they'd figure it out. They said, "Yeah." So I'd buy the ticket. Then when I'd go back to the States, I'd cash it in. I'd get my money back in US dollars. That was pretty smart, I think.
Yeah, because tickets back then were as good as cash, basically. You could just transfer them. I was thinking something else, because I couldn't remember how you used to do it. And I was thinking, did you buy a watch? Like something like a big name watch or something like that you could take back with you and that would accrue in value over the years. And that'd be a good investment.
That would be.
Yeah. I want to go back on how dangerous it was. So obviously Puerto Rico and Trinidad and Tobago, dangerous in slightly different ways then. So, but Trinidad and Tobago, were you more likely to get run-ins because the crowd was so close?
No, I did a run-in one time, and I came back and I announced to Carlos and the booker, whoever he was, that is my last effing time to do a run-in. Because they beat the shit out of me on the way in. And you can just imagine after the damage was done. And I didn't run in on a Puerto Rican guy or a American guy. I ran in. They had a wrestler named, I forgot his name now, but he was a Trinidadian, and he had been in the Olympics, and he was like a god there to them. So I ran in on him. I couldn't just run in on like a regular guy. I had to run in on the guy. They just loved this guy. They beat the crap out of me on the way out. I bet I got hit 3 or 4 times in the head and in the gut. And the cops were around me too. They were reaching around and they were swinging.
You're not thinking like Jack Veneno or someone, are you?
Jack Veneno's from Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
I can't remember this guy's name. I can look it up, but look it up. If you want to pause it a second. Trinidadian wrestler.
I just did. It came up as Zelina Vega, which wasn't the one I was looking for.
And that's not it.
No. So as far as danger, when I said run-in, I actually meant fans running into the ring rather than you doing a run-in, if you know what I mean. Was it more likely that fans would jump in the ring to get you?
No, they were afraid of us. They really was. I mean, they had never seen wrestling before. I remember the first, we went in this big stadium. I think it would probably hold 15,000, and it was sold out. And, when you walk out, all you had to do was just lock up and the crowd would erupt. You didn't even have to do nothing. You could stand there and just give dirty looks at each other and they would pop. That's how easy they were. And I'm thinking, well, if they're that easy, and they're doing nothing, what will they do if you really lay hands on somebody they like? So you imagine they would do 5 times that, and they just get carried away. So now they were actually they were afraid of wrestlers 1-on-1. But when it's 10-on-1, then they can just beat the shit out of you.
The question actually says Danny Condrey, but he must mean Dennis Condrey, I think. So on that,
It was supposed to be Dennis Condrey.
Yeah,
it was Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah. A couple of other things I've heard stories. Maybe it was JJ Dillon I heard this story from, who told it somewhere else, and he said there was like broken glass embedded into the concrete, on some of the like higher tiers to actually stop people from jumping over, and I'm sure someone smashed like a paving stone sized piece of concrete over Haku's head once, something like that, where they were just absolutely out for blood.
Possible. I never heard that, the broken glass thing, but it's I believe it.
We shall move on. Graham P says, how do people suck up to the office, I presume WWE, to put them in good standing with the company?
Like this. Exactly. Exactly how they do it. It's like anything else. You just get the booker. You just get them to like you. And I've seen some just blatant expressions of just sucking up. Sometimes the booker would come in, he'd leave, and we'd tell a guy, say, wow, you almost didn't have time to pucker those lips before he got in here. We just give him hell. But, or some guy would buy the book or something, or get him a beer, or get him this, or get him that. It was like showing more solicitous behavior than normal. And there was a lot of guys used to get it by stooging off the rest of the guys. So, he did this and he did that, and you'd let the office know. And of course, the stooges, they become known very quickly. So you just don't let them know anything.
So apart from the stooging aspect, I don't know if you want to name names, but when you were a booker, who or how did these people try and butter you up for a better payday or match or whatever?
Well, I had nothing to do with the pay because I was taking all the money. So I buttered myself up. Oh, they just come in and they're just real friendly and put you over. And you could tell. And if they did it in a way that, didn't alert everybody, I never really treated anybody any differently, but I did treat people differently that I liked. So when the guy comes in and he said, hey, F you MFer, I didn't put that guy over. I didn't book him too much. So there's ways to do it.
Next question, Stan Roberson, Ripley, I'm sure I've asked this before, MS is Missouri, isn't it? Oh, no, that's MO, isn't it? Mississippi is MS. Which one's MS?
Yes, Mississippi, yes.
Okay. So it says, James and Dutch, who in your opinion did the worst interviews? Dutch and Lawler were tremendous because they came across as real, plus they never acted nervous in front of the camera. I also enjoyed Wayne Farris. I thought Tracy Smothers was awful because he stammered a lot and acted nervous. Another bad one was Sid Vicious. He was on Raw, I think, one night and screwed up so badly he says Raw as well, it was on a pre-pay-per-view, and he says Gene Oakland, but he means Jim Ross. On live TV, if he could do it over, and Jim said, no, we are live. Also, Jeff Jarrett in his younger days seemed to stammer a lot. Your thoughts on it? So who were some of the worst interviews you remember?
Well, we said it on the show this week, Bobby Eaton. Bobby Eaton couldn't do an interview. And I remember one time as a joke, they gave him a 3-minute interview, but it was like not a live interview, and this where they were going to talk to him. Oh my God. When he was into it a minute, you're saying, oh, please, come on. And it was, oh, this, that, and the other. And I guess they used it. I don't know. But Ricky Morton, when he started, wasn't the best interview.
Really?
Oh, he got a lot better. But my first interview was embarrassing as hell. Because I wasn't playing a character. I was just playing a wrestler, I guess. And I was trying to say, well, when I get you in the ring, in Augusta, at 8 o'clock, I'm going to teach you a lesson. I was embarrassed myself before I even finished it. I hope they didn't use it. But yeah, a lot of guys, it's just nerves. And if you're going to do anything, if you're going to be a wrestler, you practice wrestling. But nobody tells you to practice, interviews. You don't know what you're doing there. You don't know what you're doing until after it's gone by and you made a bad impression. So, and that's what I used to use. Say if I was driving alone, I did my greatest interviews when I was alone around 12 o'clock at night or 1 o'clock in the morning. My greatest, and I wish I'd have been able to tape them. I wish that I had the cameras then, so I could have taped my own interview. But a lot of them, and Sid wasn't very good, and
Sid is very hit and miss. He's done some great interviews, and he's done some all-time stinkers.
Yeah, he did one. It says smarter than a lackle.
He said, "I have half the brains that you do." But here's the thing, right? He screwed up the line and everything. But I'll tell you what, I don't know if it was like a week after or a week before or something like that. He did a great interview, and the week before that, he did a great interview. It's just that he just really ruined that one. And then with the one, "Can I Start Over?" That's a classic.
That is a classic.
But I remember one, and this is a real deep cut. This one where he's in an arena, and it's San Antonio. It was for the '97 Royal Rumble, so it's just after you'd left the WWF. And it was great, and it was like a minute and a half long, and he's straight into the camera, super intense, and it's like Sid doesn't get enough appreciation for the good interviews he did. He gets a lot of appreciation or whatever it is for the terrible ones he did. But I've got a couple more follow-up questions, actually. Who did you study, if you studied anyone, to get better at interviews? Who were your sort of muses in that sense?
Well, they used to have two guys that were called the Assassins. Both of them always did classic interviews because they were masked guys, but they talked in such a way that they came across as very smart, intelligent people. And they never raised their voice. And I think the lower tone put a dark side to them. And that team was over. They knew what to do and how to do it. And they drew a lot of money in a lot of places. But their interviews, I would listen to them. Because you can take you can take anybody, he's screaming and hollering, and you can try it too. But if it doesn't fit your character, it's not going to work. But Tom Ernesto and Jody Hamilton, Assassin 2, they did some great interviews. So if you can find them anywhere, just go back and find them on YouTube, the Assassins interviews, and you know what I'm talking about.
Have we got anyone else in the terrible interview category we should bring up? Because we have Bobby, Sid occasionally, you said on your first one.
George Goulas.
George Goulas, well, I mean,
George Goulas, my God. But he is so bad, he's actually good. I mean, I guess he's gone around the earth and he met himself on the other side. And he talked with a little bit of a lisp too, which made him, I don't know what you would think, but you'd have to think he's just somewhat of an idiot, which is pretty close to the truth.
Well, you do realise with George Goulas, the only reason people thought he was a bad wrestler was because he was the son of Nick Goulas. Oh, yeah. And it wasn't actually because he was the absolute rollicking shits. Let's move on.
Wait a minute, the rollicking
shits. It's awful. I've seen enough video of him.
I've never heard the rollicking shits. I've got to start using that now.
There you go, everybody. You can have that one for free, Dutch. You can go on the road with that one.
I'm going to use it. I really am.
Okay, next one. Timothy says, do you have any particular memories of Porkchop Cash? I have a feeling that Lance Russell was a fan of chops.
Yeah, he was a good guy. He really was. I used to ride with him. Really, really good guy. And I never found him to talk badly about anyone, nobody. And he would just, and I tell you the truth, I rode with him so much, I don't even know actually where he grew up. I don't know where he's from. And because I knew he had wrestled and he was very, very good in the ring and never knew a lot about his private life. He never told me, but as far as just being a good guy, yeah, he was great, good to ride with and everything.
Says here that he was born in Washington, D.C.
See, but Washington, D.C. doesn't really tell you anything about anybody.
No, not really.
If he was born in Florida, it tells you something. If he's born in Texas or if he's born in New York, Washington, D.C. told you nothing. It didn't tell me anything.
Says here that early in his career he wrestled in L.A. and he tagged with a guy called Frank Hester. You know that name?
Yes, I do. He was Frank Hester. I think Frank Hester, I'm thinking about a different guy. Frank Hickey is who I'm thinking of now. Frankie Hester, he's the one who got killed in that car crash with Sam Bass. Really? I think. Pepe Lopez, I think, Sam Bass, and Frankie Hester. See if I'm right.
Do you want, I might need to pause this. Let me just see when he passed away. Said end of in-ring career, 26th of July, 1976.
I think so.
So that sounds about right, maybe, I think there. Any other memories of Porkchop Cash? I really don't know much about him. Where was he big?
I don't know. He worked in Charlotte. I know that, in Mid-Atlantic. He worked there, and he went around like all the rest of us. But I don't know where he was really big. He was decent in Memphis. I don't know where else he would have main evented or anything.
Still alive as well. Someone should get in contact with him. You should get like a
he is
76. Yeah.
But damn.
There you go.
Good guy.
Next question. Theodore says, do you remember the time Tom Arnold came to TNA and squared off with Puppet the Wrestling Midget? Thanks.
I do remember Tom Arnold being there. I didn't find him funny. He was backstage. He wasn't funny. So they had him doing something. I don't know. I didn't work with him. Even though I was on creative, I think Vince worked with him. And I forgot what he did. I think he was sitting around the ring and he did something. I don't remember it that much. What did he do?
Why don't we have a look together? I'll get up the video and we'll see what he did. One sec. So we're recording again there, and Dutch just went, is that LA Knight? Which one, the Midget or Tom Arnold? Oh, Tom Arnold. Yeah, I know what you mean. Let's have a look. Okay. Tio. No, Tio the Puppet defends Tom Arnold.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Tio defends Tom Arnold from Puppet or something. He's still got his glasses on as well.
Yes, he does.
Realized. Why would TNA just bring in these random celebrities for one deal?
Well, because they probably...
Well, you'll notice that Tom sweats more than any other human being alive.
That's...
Why is Puppet like angry when actually it sort of gives him like a better chance of hitting him when Tom Arnold gets on his knees?
This was TNA. Keep in mind.
Yeah.
Now you see the little men. You can't call them midgets anymore. I think we were the last ones to kind of use them.
Apart from maybe like Hornswoggle in WWE, but he didn't really. He was like the only one for a long time.
Yeah, but they didn't use him against really other little men, did they? That much?
I think there was like the guy who was dressed as the bull, but that was about it. Let's forward through, and then that's basically it. And that's just more a small compilation of more midgets. So that's pretty much it. So was that all that he was brought in to do, was just to be in a midget match, and that's it?
I guess. I have no idea. He was only there one day, and then he was gone. Now, which really astounds me because how would we get in touch with Tom Arnold? Or did he get in touch with TNA? And for what reason? And he's only there one day. And
are they hoping for the ESPN highlights thing? Is that what they're after when they bring in like a one-shot
maybe.
celebrity?
Now, this was before the big advent or the big explosion of social media. And he could have been used on ESPN, I guess. That's what they were trying for. I have no idea. I don't know. And I don't know what they paid him. I don't think they overpaid him. But it was a collaboration between the two. So I don't know how it would have benefited Tom Arnold other than the money that they paid him to come in.
Who was the most overpaid celebrity in TNA? Do you remember during your time?
Sting.
Well, no, he was a wrestler though. I mean, like just like a one-shot celebrity.
Oh. You know what they paid him?
500. I know, yeah.
That's what I heard.
Right.
500 for one day every 2 weeks. No, he'd work about 3 days a month for $500,000. That's not a bad deal if you can get it.
Well, yeah, you can't begrudge him.
And what was your question you had?
Like a one-off celebrity who they paid the most, apart from maybe Pac-Man Jones, who didn't do anything good.
Dennis Rodman, maybe.
I remember you saying, actually, didn't he charge like $5,000 or something like that?
He charged more than that.
Oh, did he?
Didn't do nothing. Nice guy, but...
It's amazing, that he was given like $1 million for like 3 shots in WCW. And in TNA, and just in the course of like, 4 or 5 years, his cachet was so much lower that he would have accepted whatever it was, $5,000-10,000 for one appearance.
I have no idea.
Next question. Andrew Fraser says, "Hey, Dutch, love your podcast. You two are great. Thank you. My dad was a midget wrestler in the States and was known as Little Tiny Little. A Canadian, he wrestled through the territories of Mid-South in the Mid-South in the 1970s. He was in his teens at the time. Wrestled with Andre in multiple battle royals where he would aggravate the other heels to chase him, only to find him hiding behind Andre's legs. Great Andre stories from a midget. He wrestled for Dusty, among others, and had a special guest referee match with Buford Pusser." Now, this is the walking tall guy, wasn't it? The original one?
Yes.
Yeah. Because he wasn't of age, other wrestlers stashed their weed in his pants, as I'm told. If stopped by police on the highway, they would be taken to the police department, all except my dad. They would be cleared for no contraband, and my dad had to sit in the squad car outside the precincts because at the time he was too young to be searched. So, I don't suppose you remember Little Tiny Little specifically.
I remember the name. I don't remember him. Now, what did he say? He was too young to be searched.
Apparently so. He was a minor.
Down south?
Yeah.
Bull crap. They'd search any. They didn't go with the laws. They just did what they wanted to do. This was the days before you could sue somebody. They'd throw you in jail and say, "Hey, I got stopped one time." I forgot where it was. In South Carolina somewhere. Said I was speeding through the town. I says, "Well, I was only going 35. He said, 25, boy. 25 speed limit." I said, "Well," you gonna write me a ticket?" He said, "Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. Give me $25 and I'll let you go." I says, "Well, I ain't got $25. He says, "Okay, give me $20. I said, "I ain't got $25. He said, "Well, give me 15. I said, "I ain't got 15. He said, "You ain't got 15 GD dollars?" I said, "No." He said, "How much you got?" I said, "I got $10. He said, "How much your buddy got over there?" My brother was sitting over there. And I said, "How much money you got?" He said, I got 5 because he had caught on. Well, he said, "Well, that's 15. Give me that and I'll let you go." And give him $15 and we rode off. You know, the old commercials they used to have with the old big Southern, like state patrolman down south, big belly, get out and say, "Ah, boy, I'll have to find you now." You don't remember that, do you?
Well, no, it'd be like a J.W. Pepper kind of thing, like from the Bond films.
So,
well, boy, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what they were like. But
always chewing tobacco as well.
They would do that too. Yeah, I hated to get stopped with those cops down south.
I want to just get. I never asked the last thing of the actual question. He just says, "Have you got any stories of midget wrestlers from back in the day?"
This is what they would do. Say they would come to, let's say they would come to Georgia, and they would be 4 of them, and they'd all get in one car, and they'd get one hotel room. And they just drive around and make it the whole circuit together, all in the same car. And that's why they would travel. That's the way the girls would travel. Sometimes they would just all be together, take one car and get one room because they wasn't making any money. And I think the little guys, I'm going to use this term, which is not used anymore. The little midgets were booked by Lord
Littlebrook?
Littlebrook. He was the mullah of the midgets.
Did he treat them better than Moolah, at least, or was he a taskmaster as well?
Well, I never heard any bad stories about him. So you heard some bad stories about Moolah? About
Moolah, yeah. But never about Lord Littlebrook.
I came out on Moolah and all this stuff that she was doing. Oh, they had one guy, he just jumped me, and a bunch of some of the women who had known Moolah. No, she was a good woman and she was this, and how dare you say that? I said, well, wait a minute. I didn't make this stuff up. I said, some of your compatriots told me, how else would I know how Moolah was? They would have to tell me. And they told me, and I just repeated them on a podcast or maybe something that I had written, but they took umbrage at what I'd said about her and said they would actually, they would debate me on it. And I said, well, it's not worth that. But I think Littlebrook, and they were guys too, so they were treated just a little bit more harshly than the girls.
What, by the other wrestlers?
No, they were fine. But I think with the promoters, since they were guys, promoters could kind of jack the girls around a little bit and not get too much heat on it. But he wouldn't try to. Some of those little midgets were down. They'd fight you. They don't give a damn how big you are. I mean, they were like little chihuahuas, and they were guys. So they, and I hate to say that they were treated differently, but they really was.
So the midget wrestlers back in those days, as you say, with the women, but it's also the same as like Andre or someone like that. They were an attraction that would turn up for like a week, a year, maybe?
Maybe once a year for 2 weeks, usually. If the territory was big enough, they would put them in the regular town on the first weekend. And then if they ran 2 shows a night, the next week they'd be in the other show. And it'd probably be a different town than what it was the week before, but it was called a spot show. So they'd put them in there, and that was good for spot shows. You'd put them in, and people weren't used to seeing that. Of course, they'd make a TV appearance before, and hey, come in and you could go see them.
They were geared towards the kids, weren't they?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And it was comedy. It was a comedy match, and everybody accepted it for what it was, and people enjoyed it. And I mean, they couldn't break a damn glass cup, but still they would do those little comedy spots and people would laugh, and they loved the kids. Now, I don't know if they sold merchandise or not, but if they did, they probably wrapped up because the kids would go and they could buy something for the kids, and the parents would do that and take their picture or whatever. But I don't know if they even did that in those days.
Did they not do like a photo in the ring with the wrestler kind of thing back in those days, or is that later?
No, I've seen that done.
Like an intermission kind of thing, you know?
I don't remember that.
Who are the best midget wrestlers?
Oh, there were some good ones. Little Brook was good. But see, you had these little midgets. They would have the routines worked out with another guy, another little guy, and they do some hellacious spots. I mean, and very very creative. Let me say that. But they would do, and I'd even laugh at them.
Do you remember any of them? Because I remember seeing years and years ago a clip from before I was born, and I don't know where it was. I think one of them was bald, and he was stood on his head like a
and spin him
and span him. Yeah, and I thought that was amazing.
They would do that. I forgot. I know that guy. I can't remember his name now. And they would do that. Now, where else are you going to see something like that done? You got to go to the wrestling matches and see little midgets and then spin him on his head. What was his name? I can't remember.
I had in my mind Sky Lolo. He was bald in the late years. Maybe it was him.
It may have been him.
Yeah.
How do you know these? Did they come to the UK too?
No, no. I think it was more of an American thing. But I just have seen some old footage on YouTube or wherever I've seen it, and I just remember seeing that spinning on the head thing.
But see, you don't even see them anymore. Are they shamed from using little? I mean, you still have the minis. They do the whole show. They do them in bars. They still do that, but they haven't used midget wrestlers in the WWE since I don't know when.
Maybe they would consider it exploitative, but it's a double-edged sword where, well, if you consider it exploitative and don't hire them, well, then you're just not hiring someone based on their size. So therefore, you're discriminatory.
Hey, no kidding. That's discrimination. I'd sue them. I'd sue them, by God. What's that called? Now, if it's because of their race, it's racism. What's it called because of size?
Heightism. Maybe.
Sizeism.
Sizeism. We'll do it on that sizeism. But no, I think the WWF tried it briefly in like the mid-2000s. But the thing is, like these days, they've got there is a midget fighting wrestling league. There are midget MMA leagues out there as well. So, you know, there's always a niche.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, and the MMA midget fighting league, is that a shoot?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's like cage fighting with midgets.
It is not.
Trust me. There's loads out there.
Okay.
Loads.
I'll take your word for it.
Very quickly as well, Jason Hunter wrote in, we got a lot of midget questions this week. It says, why are they leaving midgets out of the Hall of Fame? I presume they being WWE, although I don't know if there are others as well. Leaving midgets out of the Hall of Fame considering the history and enjoyment they brought to wrestling.
Well, yeah, why do you have so many small men questions this week?
There's at least 3 in a row there, wasn't there?
That's crazy. But I think, well, they're probably all dead now. Tell you the truth, when in their heyday, when it was in the 70s, right? That's 50 years ago. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no, I don't know, have any. I think they are afraid of the brushback, of the blowback from it. That they took advantage of them.
Maybe. Next, you don't want to shortchange them.
That is not funny.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist one, for God's sake. Give me a break. TRK, Australia. It seems to be a common opinion that Ta-Gar, Lord of the Volcano, was a low point in wrestling gimmickry. I disagree. It's somehow disagree and digress in the same word there. I disagress strongly. Is that a word?
Disagress?
Yeah.
I think he meant disagree.
Well, maybe, but I'm going to Google it. The Fire Fist elbow drop is a devastating finisher. I've seen many people wondering who's behind the Ta-Gar mask. Do you know? So do you remember Ta-Gar, Lord of the Volcano?
No.
Oh.
So when I read that question, I went, I don't even know. I don't even know the subject.
It's Memphis. It is Memphis.
No, it's not.
I think it's a Jerry Lawler concoction, this one.
No, it could have been. Lawler came up with some, and Dusty did too. I think Dusty came up with the Desperados, me and Black Bart and Randy Colley. I think he came up watching some Western and got an idea to put us together and have us do that. The Stumbling, Bumbling Cowboys.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we... right, this is USWA, June 1991. Bill Dundee makes a run-in on Ta-Gar. So why don't I cue this up and we'll have a watch together.
Possibly the worst gimmick
in history, it says, yeah. So I'll tell you what, why don't we watch that one instead? 1991, around there.
Damn. Ta-Gar.
I have roamed the galaxy in search of battle. Those who have crossed me have had their bodies broken and their blood spilled. Never have I looked back. Now I come in search of new gladiators to test me, Ta-Gar, Lord of the Volcano. Bring me your best, and I shall leave them crippled.
What's going out that volcano? Pink spooge.
I shall invoke the power of the volcano, or the fire of lava.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Look at that burning fist.
That is damn scary.
I've had lighters that produce more flames than that. Let's have.
Hey, it was Memphis. It had a.
I think you're right.
Memphis must have had fire.
A young man named Randy Johnson waits along with the referee.
They could have put a bit more fuel on it. Here we go. I'm interested in Ta-Gar. Here he is.
Right here, Ta-Gar on his way to the ring.
He almost looks like
this guy right here.
Well, we saw some.
Oh wow!
Shooting up. Whoa! Goodness.
Dave Brown must have just been thinking right then that his wage for
that was
not worth it.
We saw that video, Dave, and
I'm going to find out who that is. Who was Ta-Gar?
For the audio listeners, Ta-Gar had a shield that spurted out two little sparkler kind of effects.
Quite a bit of size, I guess, is the way to put it. He's big.
Most unusual hood ornament.
Could have been Brian. Could have been Brian Lee.
Young Randy Johnson.
Brian Lee, do you think?
Right into the mat and dropped
I'm not sure he's that tall. Brian Lee's a pretty tall guy.
And
this dude looks to be under 6 foot.
Much of a chance here. He grabbed him early and went to work on a big clothesline there.
Oh, he should be. He should go back to wrestling school. Really.
Who's he fighting here? Bon Jovi.
There it is. Oh,
the flaming fist, Fury.
With the claw. 1, 2, 3. He got the.
Wow, that's a convoluted finish. It's a flaming fist followed by an iron claw.
Oh.
See if there's anything else.
Now, the studio, I know the studio was very, very leery of anything like that in the studio.
Oh, fire or effects, that kind of thing.
Yeah, anything. And I don't know how he even got it done. Oh, there's Dundee.
Oh, hang on. We can't miss Dundee coming in.
He got the quick 3 count, and
So let's see
Ta-Gar
where
has
that
that
is. That's
claw
only a few
locked
seconds
into
away.
the temple area. Referee calling for the bell again,
He's like
Dave.
the Riddler,
Apparently
isn't he?
Ta-Gar doesn't want to release this.
Nice job, guy.
He's a big old boy. Look at his arms.
Look out! That'll break
Oh.
Dundee with a folding metal chair across the back of Ta-Gar.
I think he's just more wide than tall, though. I mean, he's got big arms.
Over the back of Ta-Gar. Ta-Gar not wanting to relinquish the
So he's got like a robot's
on young
head.
Randy Johnson and Bill Dundee.
But he's got a executioner's outfit and a shield.
That's right, brother. Let me tell you something, Dave Brown.
Brother.
And this can happen to any athlete, and I'm making no excuses. Well, maybe I'm making a little one. Now, everybody can go into a slump, and Bill Dundee's been slumping around here for a while. I ain't been winning an awful lot of matches lately because I had Jamie Dundee on my mind. He was running around with every idiot in the wrestling business, and they were taking him down the wrong road. Well, he's back home with his dad where he ought to be, so I don't have nothing to think about except wrestling. And Ta-Gar,
Is he trying to insinuate that he's not his dad?
Me, brother? No, you're not.
No, I think he's just trying to insinuate that Jamie was just half nuts.
When you're the first match or the second match or the third match, you don't make an awful lot of money. You got to be up there in the main event, or you got to have a belt around your waist. Well, for
Not in
16
Memphis.
years I've been around here, either the main event, the semifinal, I got a belt around my waist, and I liked it. And I'm going back to that because what was bothering me
Must be
isn't
not
bothering me
joking,
anymore.
Memphis.
My boy's home.
It was like,
and
how do you
Ta-Gar,
win a
I'll
belt
make
in Memphis?
reputation
Just hang
when you
around
get the
3
pink
weeks, you'll
building
get one.
Monday night, so
Yeah.
we'll just see how big and bad
It's like
you are.
it's like how do you know
you're
if someone's a
impressive, brother.
vegetarian?
You go
Give
to
them
the
30
gym and
minutes,
you
they'll
pick up
tell you.
all them
Or
weights.
30
Well,
seconds,
so
sorry.
do I. And if you're a good wrestler, we'll find out. And if you can fight, we'll find out. And I'm taking you
All
out,
right, Bill
brother.
Dundee, and a rare Bill Dundee mullet there as well. So there you go. What do you think of Ta-Gar, Lord of the Volcano?
Oh, I don't know where they found that guy. That's a Lawler invention, though. It really is. So I don't think that's not, doesn't show any of Dundee's booking at all. Had to be Lawler. So, but I don't remember Ta-Gar being a big name in Memphis, and I've never met him, so I don't know who he is.
Okay, anybody out there who may have a clue, let us know. We'll be interested in that one.
Oh, I can find out.
Oh, you've got to find out.
I will find out for us.
That's
I
your
will
homework for the
call.
week.
I will call Randy Hales.
Randy Hales. Get Randy
He
Hales
would-
on the case. He'll know.
He would know. I'll ask him today.
Sure.
And if anybody knows, send us an email.
Because I've got to escape quite soon, so I'm gonna save that question. We're gonna move on to this one, see how far we go. Vince Rudo writes in, not Russo, but Rudo. Hi, Dutch and James. Despite not being very good on the mic or in the ring, you're gonna have to help me with the pronunciation. Is it Sojournor Bolt? How do you pronounce that?
Sojournor Bolt. He would say that was my name for her.
So,
And she was a little black girl, but kind of really very athletic. And I put her against Miss Jackie, and they had some very good matches. So what's it say though? What's it say about her?
well, it says she got a huge push in 2009, despite, in Vince Rudo's words, not being very good on the mic or in the ring. It was reported at the time it was Dutch's idea to push her. Is that true? So
Yes,
apparently
it
this
was.
guy's saying she wasn't that good.
Well, she may not have been that good. But when does it say that wrestlers have to be good?
Ah, well, if that was the case, then Ta-Gar, Lord of the Volcano.
That's right.
Yeah, would never be part of it.
So, but I liked her, and she was a nice to me, very nice, and she wasn't that bad. So, but Miss Jackie could get her to work because they were kind of stiff with each other, and they worked well together.
Is she famous under any other name?
No,
Where did she disappear to afterwards? She just like briefly out.
you probably got a job, I guess. Sojourner, the name is a Civil War name, and it's the name of a black lady during the Civil War, I think, that helped a lot of slaves. Sojourner. So, am I right or not?
Well, I'm just looking at her Wikipedia, Sojo Bolt. I'm trying to see if she did anything anywhere else. She was in OVW for a few years, and that's about it. She was also in a horror film.
Just look at Sojourner. What's it say?
Oh, give me a minute.
See who it gives you.
A temporary Sojourner Truth. Is that the right one?
I think so.
It was an American abolitionist and activist for African American civil rights, women's rights, and alcohol temperance. There you go.
Yep.
Were there any grand plans for Miss Sojo Bolt going forward? Or, in fact, how come she didn't last long?
Well, we already had Miss Jackie there. She was like the female valet. And then we would have somebody come in, and then Miss Jackie, if a opponent presented themselves, Miss Jackie would have a match with her. Yeah, but we didn't have a regular like another woman for her to wrestle.
Next, we'll do two more. So Tyson Hadley writes and says, "Hi, Dutch and James. Why do some wrestlers like taking liberties on hurting their opponents, like Drew Gulak, allegedly? Or low-key? I can understand super kick gone wrong or punch like you could have mistimed it, but willingly hurting another wrestler makes me sad because it's wrong. What you do to other talent done hurt you, etc." There's not any There's not any punctuation with this. It's quite hard to read it out. But
yes.
So why do some wrestlers, and name some more as well if you would like to, enjoy hurting their fellow man?
Because they can. Now, if this speaks volumes about standing up for yourself. If you're going to go in the ring and get treated like a piece of crap and not say something to somebody if they hit you hard or they hit you too close on your nose or right on your eyes here, and they're using the fist, but they're a little more stiff than necessary. If you don't go back and say something to them or give them a receipt in the ring, you actually deserve what you get. But if you're not going to stand up for yourself, nobody else is going to. So if you stand up, even if you stand up and get the dog crap beat out of you, at least you stood up. But the next time you go in the ring with this guy, if he knows, even though the guy could whip your butt, but he don't want to go through this again because one of these days you're going to get a good lucky shot and knock him out. And there goes his reputation. So it's better to stand up for yourself and even take a butt whooping than not do anything. See, when I had the fight in the dressing room with Roberto Soto,
yeah,
I just went back, got a broom, and went over there and said, hey, we didn't finish anything, and I wore him out with it. But the next time anybody wanted to take a liberty with me, they didn't, because at least they knew I would fight them. I wasn't a good fighter, but with a stick in my hand, I could do a little bit of damage. So if you don't have any respect for yourself, you won't get any respect with anybody else. But that's not only true in wrestling, that's true in life. Stand up for yourself. And it doesn't always have to come down to a fight, but stand up for yourself and voice your concerns. If you feel like you got jacked over, then tell them. And if they don't like it, well, we'll take it from there. But be a man, and you get, and especially in wrestling, you get a lot more respect.
So why do some people do it then? Is it just small dick
because
energy?
Because they can. Say a guy, he don't like this guy. Okay, I knew a guy one time, and he was a good-looking kid, but this other guy wanted to meet this girl, but the girl liked the guy that he would go in the ring and beat up. So what he was doing, he was trying to send the girl a message that, hey, this guy's a piece of crap, and I'm beating his ass, and, and he was doing it to embarrass the guy that the girl actually liked, which I think is bullshit, total bullshit. And if that would have made me madder than if the guy just didn't like me. So, I mean, not liking me, that's your prerogative. You can do it or not, but don't take liberties with me, because you get by with it one time. Because that was a potato, or that was a mistake, but 2 or 3 times in a match, no, I got the message. Okay. And sometimes the guy's going to open up for me and knock him out. I've seen that done too.
Is it in your booking roles or creative roles, is it a booker's job to step in at some point after the match and just say, don't do this, if it's getting a bit too...
Well, I never had to do that. But if it had come down to it, I said, hey, what? And I would ask him, why are you doing this? I said, the next time you do it, I'm going to stop booking you. I'm going to book the kid, but I'm not going to book you, because you're not going to go out there and beat the talent up, because you're not drawing any money anyway. Anybody that drew any money, they're not going to mistreat the talent anyway. See, some of the guys that had the best punches ever never really hurt anybody. And if they did, you'd have to know it was on purpose. Jerry Lawler threw probably one of the best punches in the business. Never hurt anybody.
Apart from Jimmy
Hart. One time did Jimmy Hart.
And Paul Heyman.
Did he hit Heyman?
Yes.
It's because he didn't like him.
Yes. Well,
And
I've told you the story before with Paul Heyman. You'll have to repeat the Jimmy Hart one, by the way. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the Paul Heyman one was that he booked him in a scaffold match, and then at the day of the scaffold match, Paul Heyman said, "I'm scared of heights, I'm not doing it." So the next opportunity Lawler got, he punched him and broke his jaw or whatever it was.
Well, he did it to Jimmy Hart too, because Jimmy Hart had said on TV, when a horse breaks their legs, you shoot them, don't you, or something. And he didn't really go to bat for Lawler, I think, with Jerry Jarrett when Lawler had a broke leg. And then when Lawler come back, then that's where he popped him in the jaw. Because he had harbored an ill feeling toward Jimmy for, I don't know, 3 months. But he didn't forget it. Of course, Lawler would deny that. And Jimmy Hart would deny that.
Well, he would deny it, but he's got a broken jaw. He can't.
And listen, Lawler never touched anybody with those punches that looked so good. So he had to throw it to break somebody's jaw. It's a lot of force. That's not a potato.
No.
That's intentional.
Do you know, we're almost at the hour, so we're going to leave it there because I've got to escape. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Once again, questions for dutch@gmail.com if you want to have your question potentially included in next week's script for Ask Dutch Anything, and we will see you again on Friday for Story Time with Dutch Mantell. Until then, we the people.
God save the Queen.
She's dead.
Oh, it's the king now, right?
Yeah.
God save the king.
Thank you all.